We'll just give it a minute or two to let some folks come in before we dive in. Appreciate folks jumping on right on time here. This is not meant to be a real formal session, maybe compared to some of the other ones. We want the opportunity to tell you a little bit about Simulations Plus and maybe answer any questions you might have about the company. And obviously my job as recruiter is to tell you how awesome it is to work here. So I can't help myself from doing that, and have a little company overview that we'll walk through as well. But just give it a minute or two here before we kick off here our first section of time. But thanks everybody for jumping on. Josh, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're good. You're good.
I'm liking the home sign with the Wisconsin in the background.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, my wife actually made that at one of those paint and wine nights or whatever they're called. So, yeah, there's the office has kind of become the Madison room, so that's what it's turned into. But well, awesome. Well, we'll jump in here and what I was thinking, kind of do introductions here, just quick hellos for the folks that are on. Quick hellos and know who's all on the call and who we're talking with. And then I have a quick company overview just to run through, and have my friends Jill and Josh jump in as I'm still learning. I've been with the company for less than a year now, so know enough to be dangerous, but I am the HR guy, definitely not the technical expert, so that's why I have my friends Jill and Josh here to help out and can have a more intelligent conversation on the technical side of things. So, and yeah, I guess I'll have Jill, Josh, and I kind of do quick intros, and then just the folks that are on, just a quick hello, maybe just a little bit about what you'd like to learn today, anything about yourself, just a quick hello, and maybe what you'd like to find out today from us, so we can try to cover that as we chat here. So again, Brian Musser, I am the in-house recruiter for Simulations Plus. Really excited to be here. I've worked in HR for about 15 years, done a lot of different things, but I've always enjoyed recruitment, and really excited that I'm part of the team here at Simulations Plus, and I'll talk more about that as I mentioned. So I'll stop there, and Jill, do you mind saying hello?
No problem. Hi everybody. So my name is Jill Feather-Kelly. I'm the president of the Cognigen division of Simulations Plus. We're one of 4 divisions that make up the overall Simulations Plus family. I'm sure Brian will go through a lot of that when he introduces the company in a little bit. Cognigen is headquartered in Buffalo, New York, which is where I'm sitting right now. We're close to the University of Buffalo, so if you're familiar with the SUNY Buffalo program and Bill Jusko and Don Major and all the great PKPD icons that are over there, we're closely affiliated with them. I'm a professor over at UB as well. I've been working in the pharmacometric space for my entire career, which is about 30 years at this point. And Cognigen has been providing consulting and pharmacometric services to big and small pharma companies for our whole history. So I'm really happy to tell you about some of the positions and things that we do in a little bit.
Awesome. Thanks, Jill. Josh, you mind doing a quick introduction?
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Josh Foy, Vice President of Business Development here at Simulations Plus. I've been here for just about 4 years and have held a variety of different roles in that time, from an operation-focused role towards my role that I am in right now, which is really helping to further promote the adaptation of and adoption of all of the modeling and simulation across the industry, whether it's pharmaceutical or the chemical spaces. Training by career, been in drug development my entire adult life, and one of those things where have had the opportunity to sit on project teams from early discovery into toxicology, IND enabling, and then into early clinical. At one point was a customer of Simulations Plus, utilizing GastroPlus and all those tools and to do translational modeling and simulation. And super excited to continue to be that connector and that evangelist to modeling and simulation. So looking forward to building some relationships here, learning more about how we can help to support your own career journeys.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh and Jill, for joining. I know it's a busy couple days here with the conference, so I appreciate that. So just real quick, if you're comfortable, let's kind of go through my role here. If you don't mind, for the attendees here, just to say hello, introduce yourself, maybe just why you decided to join, what you're hoping to learn today, just a quick, so we can kind of get an idea of what you're trying to get from us here today, and we can cover that as best we can. So I apologize if I mess up any names. That is not my specialty, but I'll do my best here. So the first one I have on my list is Suman. Do you mind just doing a quick hello and letting us know what you're hoping to learn today?
Hello, everyone. This is Suman. I spend a lot of time in academia as an assistant professor. I have a lab while in academia. And then I recently last year I moved to industry. I moved to Roivant, and recently we have a layoff that impacted my position. So now I'm looking for positions. So that's one of the main reason. So my background, I have computer drug discovery. So I did a lot of things in computer drug discovery and admit space, and I have experience in QSP. We did some projects in QSP. So I just wanted to learn some of the techniques, and also the positions that are available, and with any opportunities that you guys can connect or offer, would be grateful. So yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Well, thank you for joining us. I'm sorry to hear that. I've been on all sides of that table and never fun. So the right thing will happen for you, and hopefully that's here with us. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Next, I see Rebecca. Do you mind saying a quick hello and what you're hoping to learn or find today?
Yeah, hello. I hope you can hear me. Interested in seeing the type of openings you have. I am currently a lecturer, but I'd kind of like to broaden my horizons.
Awesome. Rebecca, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Awesome. And Hannah?
Hello. So I graduated with my PhD in biomedical engineering last May, so almost in a year, which is weird. But at a conference, I ran into the Simulation Plus stand. I talked to Jeff Woodhead, I don't know who that is. And I was telling him about my background, and he encouraged me to apply. I don't have necessarily a background in PBPK or anything like that, but I do have background in computational fluid dynamics and fluid structure interaction. So he thought it would be a translational role, I guess, for position with you guys. So I'm interested in learning more about Simulation Plus, how I can make my application competitive, and hopefully get a job with you guys eventually.
Awesome. We much appreciate the interest, and thanks for joining us, Hannah. Hoping we can do the same. So awesome. Thanks, Hannah. Valentine, is it? Do you mind saying a quick hello? Oh, I think you're on mute, or it's not coming through on my end. It doesn't say mute, but I'm not. Everyone else, yeah, we're not hearing it. Weird. Yeah, no problem. Sorry, Valentine. Shoot me a note too, or a chat if you want directly. Hit me up on LinkedIn. Sorry, I'm not sure why that's not working. That's weird. Next, I have Victor. You mind saying hello? Hi, Victor. Okay, volume's not working again. What is? Jill, sorry, Victor, we're not hearing you. Jill or Josh, are you still good? Can you try to chat? Make sure you don't have a larger issue here.
Can you hear me?
That's still working. Okay, you can hear me. All right, sorry guys. Not sure what's going on there. I see we have a couple other folks from Simulations who will have introduced themselves, so hopefully we can get the glitches worked out here. Josh, do you mind saying hello? Josh Stengel?
Sure. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, theirs is working. That's weird.
All right.
Shoot.
Yeah, I'm a project manager on our operations team. I joined the company, well, it'll be 2 years ago in May. Prior to that, I was at Covance Labs, now LabCorp Drug Development, for 15 years right out of college. I spent about 10 of those years in DMPK, supporting the global non-compartmental analysis portfolio. Prior to that, I did a brief stint in bioanalytical operations and an even briefer stint in quality assurance. My background is in chemistry and business. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions anyone might have.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, Josh. Appreciate it. And I just remembered something from the training. So 2 things. One, Google Chrome is the best option for this. So if you're not using Google Chrome, maybe jump back on with Google Chrome, I've heard. And if you are on Chrome, there's a little lock button up by the link at the top of the page. And if you click that lock button, there's a button there to turn your microphone and camera on and off access. So if maybe that's not turned on, double check that. All right, Lindsay, do you mind saying hello? Oh.
Can you hear me?
Hey, Lindsay, yep, you're good.
Hey, y'all. I am the Director of Human Resources at Simulations Plus. I just wanted to pop on and see who was joining and who's interested in careers. And I've been here for almost 3 years, heading our Human Resources department now and focused on recruiting and Simulations Plus culture and all the things for employees at Simulations Plus. So we're excited to have you guys here and interested and hope to hear from most of you over the next hour.
Awesome. Thanks, Lindsay. Thanks for jumping on. Valentine, you want to try it again, see if it's working here? No, still no luck. That is weird. Okay, all right, sorry. I am not sure what's happening there. It's weird that some are working and some aren't. Try Sam. Sam, can you see if yours is working? Say hello. Otherwise, we'll just we'll call it good on that. Unfortunately, Sam, yeah, can you see if yours is working? Yeah, Sam's working.
Hey, Brian, can you hear me?
Yep, you're working. Yeah.
Hey, yes, my name is Sam. I currently work in pharmaceutical drug development, and my background is in chemistry, but I'm super interested in getting into kind of more of programming, data science, stuff like that. So yeah, I'm just here to kind of check out that space of, that computational science space. So
Awesome.
Yeah.
I appreciate you joining us. And yeah, just one more time in case anyone didn't catch it. Google Chrome is the best browser is my understanding. And then if you're in Chrome, if you go up at the top and hit that little lock button next to the website, there's a buttons there to toggle your camera or microphone on or off. So just try that. That's my best technical IT advice on the spot here. So sorry for the glitches there. Can we try Annie? Annie, see if you're working here, if your mic's working. Say hello. Annie Zhang, I think it is. Are you there? You're on mute right now. Or maybe she stepped away. Try Anna. Anna, are you? See if yours is working here. Anna C. Well, they're getting quiet on us. All right. No problem. And we'll try Hema, is it? Hope I got that right. And seeing if yours is working. I think the mute button is at the bottom. The first button on the left on the bottom to unmute your mic, if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable, no worries, no problemo here. I don't want to put anybody on the spot. Valentine, I see you again. We want to give this one more shot here, and then maybe the third time's a charm.
Yeah. Hello, can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Just it's very quiet. Can you maybe try to speak up a little bit?
I decided to take an alternate approach and use my phone.
Okay, it's very quiet. We just want to speak loudly, please.
Yeah, sorry for
No problem.
it's
all right.
But yeah, so I'm just finishing my PhD in economics at Northwestern University this May, and I focus on health economics. So I don't have any experience in PK or PD, but I became aware of what Simulations Plus does, and although I have some experience researching health regulatory side, I have strong statistical, mathematic coding skills, solving systems of differential equations, and so I'm interested in whether my skills would be a good fit
for any positions that Simulations Plus may have.
Absolutely. Well, we hopefully can find you a home here. And again, sorry for the technical issues there. If you are having trouble with your mic, please feel free to put something in the chat in the bottom right there. If you want to put any questions there that you have for us, we're happy to answer them. That goes for anybody. If you have any questions for us, please throw them in the chat. So I appreciate everybody joining us, and like to just kind of walk through a high-level company overview of Simulations Plus with you now, and I'll have my friends from the company jump in here as needed on the technical side. And just going to share my screen here down on the bottom, and share this one. There we go. Everyone can see that okay? It's good. Okay.
Yeah, Brian.
Yes. And then go full screen. Oh, 1 second here. Just want to move this so I can see you guys. There we go. There we go. Awesome, awesome. So again, I started with the company last May, so still learning, but no, not to be dangerous. I just want to put a high-level overview to tell you a little bit about Simulations Plus and what we do in the different areas of the business. So we're started in 1996, so 26, going on 27 years. We have over 150 employees, and very, very strong financial growth. Been a very slow, strong, and steady company over that time. I think the company's made very smart decisions on that growth and been very smart and methodical in their approach to that growth. We have over 250 clients. We have great retention. We got a bunch of very smart masters and PhDs, scientists working for us and helping us with this amazing, amazing work. And they have published over 1,000 publications here as part of the company and part of their effort. So one of the leading providers of modeling and simulation software consulting services in the industry, and proud to be that. And so what we can offer to our clients is a variety of different ways to accelerate and improve the drug development process. And so you can improve that in a variety of different ways, and improving clinical trial process, streamlining, making that faster, safer, better in a variety of different ways. I'll let Jill and Josh and others talk more about the details of that as I'm still learning, but just a variety of different ways with our software and our consulting services that we can help our pharmaceutical clients improve the drug development process. Very interesting and fascinating work. And through those software and services, as I mentioned, there's a variety of different ways that we can help out our clients and help them through that process. And in the slides here to come, I'll have my teammates here talk through some of the details on that. But a variety of different ways and tools and softwares that we can provide as a company. So kind of going into more detail here, and I think I'll take a step back here, and we didn't plan this out, Josh, but do you mind maybe just at a high level, kind of overall what we offer in the phases of drug development? Would you be comfortable walking through this for us?
Yeah, I'd love to. So this is a lot here on this slide, but if I could highlight the overarching message as Simulations Plus has the opportunity with both our software tools as well as from a services perspective to really help the advancement of drug development across all of the different phases, from early discovery, where you're going to be utilizing our machine learning tools of ADMET Predictor, starting with the chemical structure and being able to predict and prioritize properties, everything from physiochemical through metabolism and transport through toxicology, and then being able to feed those pieces, along with the experimental data into GastroPlus, which is our flagship platform. And starting with your early animal models, building up that in vitro, in vivo extrapolation and correlation, to being able to then do the translational pieces as you move forward. Our software tools in the cheminformatics space and the PBPK space early on in that development really are going to help you to prioritize where to spend experimental dollars, help you to understand some of the variability you're seeing in the data, and ultimately help to guide where you need to set your experiments from dose levels as you move forward. As you get into your clinical stages of development, so your early clinical through phase 2, phase 3, this is where our colleagues at Cognigen from a pharmacometric services space are going to help with everything from protocol design to non-compartmental, compartmental analysis, and then as you gather more and more data, you're going to be better understanding what are going to be those decision points of correlating your exposure and your response, as well as what do larger populations look like. GastroPlus also serving as an engine to do modeling and simulation to explore things like food effect, drug-drug interactions, and potentially being able to look at special populations across the board and build a more of a bottom-up approach to better understanding what some of those differences are going to be. Our Lixoft colleagues are the developers of the Monolix suite of tools. They're going to be the co-champions with our Cognigen division for all of the non-compartmental and compartmental analysis, as well as the population PK/PD and all the modeling that you would need through those stages of development. Overarching is going to be our regulatory support, and that is going to be one of those things that comes along the way for help and guidance on how to use modeling and simulation really as a conduit to bring together all those stages of development. So if you're looking through with our DILIsym colleagues and looking more into what is that link between exposure and the pharmacology and looking to build that mechanistic effect, or looking at the exposure with the pharmacology and then understanding those safety components, so those system pharmacology or toxicology, also going to be very relevant across all those stages of development. And we work with our different business partners to find a modeling solution that is going to help to answer your drug development needs, but then utilize that model as a way to build on all those different phases. Different layers of expertise in each one of these, different platforms that we help to build into a broader ecosystem so that we can support, and Brian had flashed about 250 plus clients that we partner with on an annual basis. We can partner with everybody from those large pharma companies that have hundreds of modelers utilizing and doing those things and adding our expertise into that as overflow, to everybody that are virtual companies where they get to function like a large pharma company, utilizing our scientists to do all these translational modeling and simulation steps. So the key to drive home here really is catered tools and catered solutions for the different stages and the different questions that you're going to answer in every one of those. But then also being able to better understand in the ecosystem of your development what are going to be those next decision points and how do we make sure we talk with one another in those ways. Jill, anything to add that I may have missed or you want to highlight here?
No, that was a great overview. I mean, you touched on just about everything in terms of our software solutions and our services solutions. So really, just to bring it back to the recruiting side of things for a little bit, we certainly need experts in all those areas, right? The people that come to us and are interested in opportunities at Simulations Plus have a variety of different backgrounds. So certainly on the software development end, folks that have experience with a lot of the different tools that we use to build the software products are, of course, very much of interest, and people who are really developers at heart. But also people who are really drug developers or in mindset are drug developers as well are really helpful on the consulting side of things and providing the services that we do to our clients. We try to really partner with the clients that we work with and establish a great relationship with them, so we support them throughout the whole collaboration. So sometimes we'll kind of go off and do the modeling work and actually write a lot of code and help to answer those questions. In the pharmacometric space that I represent, the key question that we're often answering is what the appropriate dose is to go forward with. And that can happen in a lot of different phases along the way as we're moving from phase 1 to phase 2, phase 2 to phase 3, and ultimately the dose that we put into the label. But we're helping companies to make those decisions, to be really confident in making those decisions, and whatever our teams can do to support that, that's what we do. Just maybe the one piece that I didn't see mentioned here that's an important to the overall mix is the data team that we have on the Cognigen side. We have a large group of programmers who are typically R programmers. Sometimes SAS is another tool that we use. But basically, they're developing the analysis-ready data sets that we use. So they're really experts at processing data and manipulating it to get it ready for analysis, to look at that data from a really informed perspective and understand the clinical data that's been collected and what we have to work with, and then to help provide it to the regulatory agency at the end and put it in the appropriate format. So that's another really important aspect to the overall for us. But otherwise, I'll let Brian continue on, I guess, and then we can come back and talk more about, you know, positions and things like that.
So you guys have confirmed I still have a lot to learn, and it's not something I'll learn in a year, but look forward to being able to have a better, more intelligent conversation about this fascinating work. I really enjoyed getting to know it, just scratching the surface here. Jill, before I take back over, do you mind just talk a little bit about what you're looking for in your role, a little bit about what you would be hoping to find in candidates and what you are looking for there in the pharmacometrics division?
Yeah, I'd be happy to. So in the pharmacometrics space specifically, the backgrounds of our team are also really varied. So we have folks who come at pharmacometrics from a lot of different scientific backgrounds. Myself, I'm a statistician by training. We do have a number of statisticians on staff. A lot of folks have a more pharmaceutical sciences background or pharmacology background and get into and are interested in the quantitative analysis and doing the modeling and simulation work that we do. So I think it's folks that really like to, I call it like get your hands dirty with data, really get into it and look at the data and understand it really well, but then develop the modeling code that allows us to answer those questions. So it's doing modeling and simulation work using some of the tools that you see on the screen. Of course, Monolix is our flagship software and the one that we encourage clients to use you know, most extensively. We also use tools like NonMem, tools like Berkeley Madonna. But in terms of wrangling the data, R is kind of the main tool that we use there. And so people who have facility with those tools and like doing that kind of analysis, like using data to answer questions, you know, those are kind of the key features. It certainly is people who are detail oriented and are problem solvers by, you know, sort of makeup are the kinds of folks that really usually do quite well in a modeling role. But also, I can't emphasize enough, the communication of those results is super important. So talking to clients and being able to help them understand what it is that we're doing and how we use these tools to answer the questions so that the client feels really comfortable with it is another important aspect. When we talk to new candidates and people who are interested in roles like this, the first thing that 99% of them say is, I want to learn. And that's awesome. That is super important in a consulting role. You know, we are called upon to be experts in these areas. That doesn't mean we know everything there is to know about either that therapeutic area of the drug or how we apply it, but we have the willingness to get in and learn and make sure that we know the key things that are important to drive, again, the confidence in decision making by using modeling and simulation to answer questions. So I think those are kind of the important aspects to people who are looking for jobs like this and who do well in them. The specific positions that we have open are pharmacometric services positions, so they're consulting pharmacometrician positions that range from kind of an assistant director level all the way up through a senior director level. They are folks who will lead project teams on our side, consulting project teams that consist of one or more scientists, one or more of those data managers or programmers that I mentioned, a project manager, and usually a document specialist. So the work that they do is actually providing the modeling services, but it's also leading that communication process and trying to help pull things together from different models that we might build and different simulations we might do to answer questions for clients. In addition to the pharmacometrics positions, there's other ones we're going to get on our website soon in the clinical pharmacology space, which is kind of the overarching umbrella of where our pharmacometric services fit within drug development. We're answering clinical pharmacology related questions. We also offer some things to our clients, some roles that are considered more of an embedded or a dedicated scientist role. So we're interested in finding folks who have clinical pharmacology backgrounds and are comfortable in that space of answering clinical pharmacology related concerns as they relate to a particular development program, helping to design studies, helping to answer questions about the relationships between dose and exposure and response and tie that sort of information together. So both clinical pharmacology and pharmacometrics is our main focus right now.
Awesome. Thanks, Jill. I appreciate it. Lots of good opportunities there. And just jumping back a couple of slides, I think Jill and Josh did a fabulous job walking through an overview of our different parts of the business. So I won't hammer on this. I want to make sure we get back to you guys for your questions. So, but PBBK, we do have a junior modeler opening right now. We're currently recruiting for, and we see a pipeline where we'll need to continue to find a pipeline of those modelers and those folks within our business, and maybe even helping our clients with the need there as well. So any PBBK modelers out there, definitely interested in chatting with you and talking about what we might have here for you. We have our QSP group as well out of North Carolina. They're kind of home-based, although most of our folks are now remote. We do offer remote and flexible schedule for most folks. So we have our QSP group there, our pharmacometrics that the team has touched on. So want to pause there and find out what more do the folks on the call want to know. You're welcome to use the chat, or please just go ahead and, if you're comfortable jumping off, mute as well. And we're happy to have a great group of folks here to answer any questions, either on the career side or the technical side. We're happy to answer those for you. So please, what else are you guys thinking about? What else could we cover for you?
I guess one of the other things I'll just add, Brian, is I saw the chat that people are interested in learning the software, which is great, and facility with the tools is not to be underrepresented. It is really an important piece of the overall. But I think one of the other great things about consulting positions, if you contrast them with maybe positions within a drug development organization, is the opportunity to learn about different therapeutic areas and different modalities of drug action, different pharmacologies and things like that. Every project is going to be new. Every one of our consulting scientists, modelers that are working on a project team, they're really working on multiple project teams at the same time. So they're representing different types of projects in different spaces, maybe at different points along the life cycle of drug development as well. So there's new challenges every single day. So it is a fast-paced environment. But at the same time, it offers you the opportunity to really get experience very quickly. And the learning curve, tends to go really quick. You're learning not only about the software and the tools and the techniques, but also different therapeutic areas. Also seeing how different clients and different companies address similar problems. So having that perspective after doing consulting a little while is really super valuable, and understanding how to solve regulatory hurdles and regulatory challenges and give clients advice on those things is a great thing to kind of have in your back pocket as you move throughout your career.
Great, thanks, Jill. Looks like Josh just shared some learning opportunities there with you as well. A link there. Oh, go ahead, Josh.
Yeah, I just say I threw some learning opportunities in the chat. I mean, learning is paramount for us as we continue to build the modeling community at large. If you attended Brett Howell's opening session, one of the things that he highlighted was our investment into the modeling community of opening up all of our software platforms for free globally to universities across the world, continuing to build out that expertise and drive those decision making more towards the use of modeling and simulation in every program that is out there to accelerate the development, save costs, save time, all the rest of those pieces. From our perspective, as we build out that modeling community, we train people globally all the time, and there are some free learnings that are coming up. There's a spring school for our Modelix suite of tools that is free, and that's in the March timeframe. There are workshops here that are both in person and virtual in different facets of our software. So I would encourage you guys to take a look at those and do that. Brian mentioned as well that one of the nice parts about our company is we have so many different partners across drug development and the chemical spaces as well. And while we are always trying to recruit additional scientists to help us with, those R&D functions that, Jill and Brian mentioned of, how are we translating the literature, the research, the data into mechanistically describing and calculating out, all of our software platforms, to the expert consultant space that Jill highlighted in some of those needs. What we also end up being is a connector or a matchmaker to companies that also have positions open out there. So at Simulations Plus, we do not have any laboratories or laboratory spaces. So there are, one of the questions that I oftentimes get when we've gone to recruit, PBPK scientists in the past was, hey, I'm really looking for something where I can be part-time laboratory to continue those skills, part-time, modeling the simulation, taking that data and then using it in translation. Those roles exist across, many stages of companies. A lot of pharma companies have roles like that. And, if that's the right move for you, we would always be happy to help connect you into opportunities that we see. So getting prepared for this session, I went into Indeed.com and I searched, QSP, so pharmacology modelers. I searched PBPK as keywords and I searched pharmacometrics. And right now there are about, close to 800 to 900 jobs available on Indeed, with those, key areas of interest. So if I could stress the job security and doing the learning, I could stress the, to Jill's point, learning drug development and being able, especially in a company like Simulations Plus, where we are going to be a contract research organization for the modeling and simulation that we do here, which means is that you are going to get that variety. And so, for people who want to, join one of their first roles and be able to play in different therapeutic areas and drug modalities and different spaces of the development process, a company like Simulations Plus is the type of offering. So that's where when we start talking to potential candidates, we try to make sure that we match, hey, what do you think you want to do, in the short term of your career right now? What's the 1 to 2 to 3 year goal for you? And then also take a look at, hey, what are those next steps of kind of where you want to continue to grow into? And that's where we can line you up with the best opportunity, whether it's in-house here or potentially partnering, with some of our client organizations that, oftentimes, recruiting us to do their services because they can't keep up with the growing needs there. And, Jill's got many examples of that with her team of having, full-time employees dedicated to, different clients to help build up that expertise. So I want to stress the modeling community that we're trying to build here is really, really important to the next stages of where the industry needs to go to truly do model-informed drug development.
So I'll just tag on to Josh's comments. Another aspect to what Josh was just talking about, and another benefit to thinking about the Simulations Plus organization as a home, is that the different areas of scientific focus that Brian highlighted and Josh went through in some detail are all represented by experts within the company. So starting here gives you the opportunity to really get access to those people. And we are working with companies across divisions. So we've got companies that we're working, I see my colleague Scott has joined the call from the DILIsym Services division. And, Scott and I have been talking with a client about a project that sort of transcends those boundaries and goes from starting with a QSP model in this case, and then moving into the pharmacometric space. So the ability to work across those borders with folks that have these different scientific areas of focus who are experts like Scott is another awesome opportunity to really learn from experts in a lot of those different areas and consider in your own career the ability to kind of move across and learn a little bit about a lot of different areas.
Thanks, guys. Scott, if you don't mind just saying hello, and Jill and Josh, I know I had you slotted here and you've already given me more time than I asked for, so much appreciated. You're welcome to stay, but understand if you have to run with the busy day. But Scott, if you don't mind just doing a quick introduction and letting us know a little bit about you.
Hi, everyone. I'm Scott Seiler, the Chief Scientific Officer of the DILIsym Services Division within Simulations Plus. I have been practicing quantitative systems pharmacology modeling since 1989, which predates the name quantitative systems pharmacology. It turned out I was, without kind of realizing it, one of the kind of small group of folks who pioneered the deployment of this sort of modeling approach within pharma. So I've kind of watched the whole, from the you can't do it to wow, you can do it to we really need this to it being a true part of industry. And I get to help manage the group that does this, and working with all the other divisions. We don't just kind of stay in our lane. We, as Jill just pointed out, kind of cross over, add a little bit of this, a little bit of that. In the end, we make a pretty spicy meal with all the various ingredients Simulations Plus has to offer.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. Appreciate you jumping on. And again, any other questions, please feel free to jump on or send them, excuse me, in the chat. We're happy to answer those for you. Otherwise, I know the one question we had from intros is, how to get your foot in the door at Simulations Plus. So have our Career Center here is the website, and we keep our positions posted there, and also have roles on LinkedIn as well. But you're welcome to go on there and see what we have for opportunities. I've thrown my emails up here, and I've thrown it in the chat. You're welcome to reach out to me directly, and we can talk more specifics about what you're looking for. If you do apply or you don't see what you're looking for out there, please feel free to reach out to me or connect with me on LinkedIn. Simulations Plus, put my sales hat on here for a minute. It's really fantastic. I know every recruiter says their company is great because that's kind of their job, but Simulations Plus makes it really easy for me because I can say it with sincerity. Just the way that I've been welcomed in, the leadership team, everyone is so friendly, so easy to work with, so collaborative. And then the way that my boss and the leadership team really cares about people and backs that up with, with flexible work, remote work, unlimited time off, great bennies, great pay, stock options, all that stuff. Just feels good to be a part of it, and it makes my job a heck of a lot easier when I have a very easy product here to present to folks. So, that's sales is not my specialty, but I will tell you, it's an awesome place to work. You'd be really happy working here, and I'm happy to chat more with folks about what you're looking for and how we can maybe make that happen. But I do see one question here in the chat. So basically, our interview process is, normally I would do kind of an initial chat as an HR conversation to start, just to make sure the basics are covered. Then we would connect you with the hiring manager to talk details and get more into the day-to-day and the technical side. And then we just have usually a final team interview or presentation is generally how our interview process goes. We would have to figure out, Suman, hopefully I'm saying that right, Suman, we would have to figure out exactly which hiring manager it would make sense and which side of the business you would be the best fit for. But I would say please just reach out to me directly there on LinkedIn or through my email. If you want to provide a little bit more about what you're looking for, we'd be happy to connect you with somebody and kind of look at what those next steps would look like. So appreciate the interest.
Yeah, I would just say one of our.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Josh, go ahead.
I was going to say one of our bigger hiring philosophies here is we're trying to find people that are career minded and wanting to be here and build something that is a bit longer term, and so to the question, opportunity to talk with hiring managers. I'm always happy as someone that has a cross-divisional view here at Simulations Plus and represents that out globally to our customer segments to have some one-to-one conversations as well, and then help to kind of give a background of the types of people they are. And the hardest part when you're trying to find just one job description is it's how do you align that to all the things that are going to be part of that or what you want to do. So finding a fit that is a win-win for both sides, so that it can truly be a career development is our recruiting philosophy. So I'll throw that out there. Brian, I'm happy to help work as part of this career fair and things through of saying, hey, these are the types of skill sets that we're looking for, and ultimately, these are the opportunities for growth in all of the different areas as we continue to evolve as our recruiting company, and as well as connecting with our partners.
Great, appreciate the offer, Josh, and yeah, please reach out to me, and I'm happy to coordinate a chat with the manager where it makes sense. Absolutely. So appreciate it. Other questions, other things that we haven't covered that folks are thinking about? Hopefully that means we covered it really well. Feel free to keep throwing your questions in the chat. And again, we're kind of maybe roll back over here with Scott and run through this one more time here. So folks that jumped on from the beginning certainly aren't required to stay on for the whole 100 minutes. If you need to jump off, we understand, but maybe we'll start back over the presentation here in a bit. But much appreciate everyone jumping on, seeing some new names coming on. So Scott, if I can put you on the spot, maybe if you don't mind starting us back around here and talk a little bit about your world, what you look for in candidates, and maybe any advice that you would have for the folks that are trying to get their foot in the door here at Simulations Plus with your experience. Mind maybe touching on those topics for us?
Sure. So let me start with my own experience and kind of build from there. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm one of the earliest practitioners of this type of modeling. And, somewhere along the way, I helped kind of spin out and start, at the time, a very small QST modeling company. It was time to expand a bit. And it was at that point we were kind of evaluating our options. And option number one became very clear. Joining the Simulations Plus family was going to provide the best path for our science, for our people, for across a wide range of things. And the expectation, or sorry, the reality has met the expectation, is I think the way to say it. I think we're 5 years in now, being part of the Simulations Plus family, and learning the various modeling modalities ever increasingly, the interaction, the ability to interact with clients who have familiarity with modeling. All of those are wonderful. So again, I can't stress, I have the kind of something of a cross-divisional point of view access as well as part of the leadership team. And it allows us to kind of get a sense of how everybody's doing, what everybody's doing. It's pretty cool. As far as our little world of the QST modeling, historically there aren't really academic programs, or there aren't many academic programs that train people for this type of modeling. So which means then that we have to contribute to the development of this sort of approach. And we've kind of got a nice little program in place to do that. The one I'll say kind of generally, the type of individual who really finds themselves interested and ultimately loving this type of modeling is someone who just has kind of endless amounts of curiosity. There's almost nobody who understands physiology, pathophysiology, biochemistry, mathematics, engineering, coding. There's no single person who has all those communication, all those skills. So we have to be an interdisciplinary team, number one. Number two, even if you think you're an expert in one area, you're going to be pushed out of your comfort zone and be forced to learn even more. So someone who really is eager to learn and not intimidated by not knowing, and in other words, having the confidence that they'll learn. You'll never have a boring day. You'll always be climbing a curve. Like it's really remarkable. I often say that when you model something, you know it better than anybody else in the world. And it's so true, the depth of knowledge that you get when you're doing this sort of mechanistic modeling. You can speak to a chemical engineer who's modeled something and think that they had a PhD in biochemistry. It's really quite remarkable that way. So
Scott?
those are the type of individuals that, like I said, that find themselves happy in this line of work, and those are the type of individuals that we also try to pull in.
So, Scott, you mentioned that you've been doing this for a little while. I guess, kind of putting you on the spot here. I guess what have you enjoyed most? What's been most rewarding? What have you enjoyed most about your work, and maybe what have been some of the challenges that you've had to overcome over the years?
So I'll start with the latter. It was it was acceptance. It was the acceptance of the technology. I wasn't kidding when I first started and we would tell people at conferences what we were doing. The response literally was, "You can't do that. You can't do mechanistic mathematical modeling." And then, it slowly warmed up. And what happened though, maybe 5 to 7 years in, is there was something of a diaspora where folks who were trained in QSP modeling acquired positions within pharma companies directly. And so that really helped kind of educate from within and dramatically increase the acceptance. So that was a huge one, but it also kind of gave that experience kind of helped us understand by trial and error, how to communicate to others what we do, how we do, and the value of it. As far as kind of the things that I've appreciated most, I think there are a couple, 3. One, like I said, the opportunity to learn and to learn with such depth is, just really remarkable. 2, we often stress that it isn't just the science, it's the scientists. Because it's the individuals who are actually doing it. You can have a nice process, a nice workflow, but if you don't have the right people doing it, it may not land quite as well. And also along that way, you kind of end up forming fantastic relationships with the folks with whom you work, right? When you're really exploring in that kind of depth together, it's a shared experience. You really establish firm bonds. And so those are, I think, the two things that, the folks with whom I've worked over the years, and there have been a wide range of them, I think almost 100%, I have really strong continuing relationships with them.
That's awesome. Appreciate the info, Scott, and background, and sharing some of your amazing career with us. I know you're modest, and would never say so, but impressive what you've done. And so for a non-technical guy who doesn't understand, is still trying to figure, a high level understanding of this stuff. When you say they said it can't be done, literally saying like impossible, it's infathomable that could actually be done, or that it could work, or that it was feasible. What did they mean by that?
Oh, back then they literally said,
yeah,
not possible.
It's never going to happen.
I mean, it was a classic case of a technology being presented to somebody who, actually here, this is sometimes what I say is, as modelers, we have to be careful not to constrain ourselves to think within the box because we've designed the box. We're also scientists. We have to think outside the box. Not all scientists readily think outside the box. And you have to have creative problem solving. You have to be open to ideas. And that situation I described earlier, that was somebody who was still stuck inside a box, wouldn't allow themselves to see beyond it, via the technology, via the science, via what have you.
Yeah. And when it's first presented, that's true. How many technologies and things that people said, well, that's never going to go anywhere, and then turned into the biggest thing out there, right? So pretty cool that you've seen that from that start to where it is today. So Scott, again, appreciate you jumping on. I've seen a couple new names pop on. Again, if you want to jump on, this is not meant to be real formal. We just want to help people understand more about the company and how you can get a foot in the door here if you're interested in that. If you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, or again, feel free to just jump on here if you'd like. I would just add on to Scott, he mentioned the people side, right? So from a recruiting standpoint, and this can go for all sorts of different positions, but certainly for these highly technical roles that we have here, you can have all the technical skills in the world, but if you can't communicate with people, if you can't get along with people, you're not going to be successful, right? So some of those softer skills, communication classes, presentation skills, don't forget about those things as well. Obviously, having these amazing technical master's and PhD backgrounds will take you a long way, but don't forget along the way that you got to be able to communicate, you got to be able to present this information to your team and to clients, and so certainly work on those soft skills as well as you're working through or looking for ways to improve yourself that way. So Scott, I'm just going to run through, kind of just put some high-level company overview slides here together. I might have you jump in a couple spots here since again, on the technical side, I'm just scratching the surface. I might have you jump in here if you don't mind in a few spots. But I'll pause for a second. Any questions for Scott or I or anything right now before we kind of run through this overview one more time? Again, if folks have been on since the beginning, if you've seen this already, you're certainly not required to stay the whole time, but welcome to. We're happy to have you if you want to stay on, completely up to you. So appreciate everyone who's joined us. Any questions? I'll give a brief pause here to see if anyone has anything.
Hi, I have a quick question, if I'm
Please.
audible.
Absolutely.
Great. Hi, my name is Victor. I had a quick question for Scott. For quantitative systems pharmacology, it's kind of a new thing to me as well. I have a slight background in pharmacometrics. And you mentioned that you do a bit of training to get people up to date and ready for that kind of position. I was wondering what that training looked like, if it was something formal or more like on-the-job kind of learning.
It's a bit of both. That's a good question. I think we over time, well, let me start here. So probably the oldest platform that we have, hence kind of the most mature, the most resource supporting it, is what's known as DILIsym, drug-induced liver injury simulation. And with that, we've had a cooperative endeavor with anywhere over the years. It's been 20 plus different pharmaceutical companies that are kind of operating and receiving training, putting in input, etc. So we've established a training plan for external users for that platform that essentially is also applicable to those that we bring in-house. So there's something of a program already established for that and some of our other more mature platforms, but also very much, you learn by doing 100% that way. And so you get kind of the familiarity, and familiarity tends to be, you kind of have to learn, rather, if you don't already have them, the mathematical skills, the coding skills, but just as important, understanding the biochemistry, how to apply it, and for each different model that you work on and or build, understanding the disease, the relevant biochemistry, the relevant pathophysiology. And then finally, those communication skills. Brian alluded to them. You can do fantastic science if you can't convey to others what you've done. It's not really going to go very far. So we try to make sure that we capture the entirety of all those skills, partially by programs, partially by doing. And mentorship, I forgot the last part. Clearly having folks there to kind of help, whether it's actively or passively, answering questions, or today we're doing this together.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. And I'll just throw in a personal anecdote, which is someone who was deathly afraid of public speaking when he started his HR career, and now I'm just slightly less than that. It's like any other skill. It truly is practice. The more you do it, the more you train, the more you think, the more you read into it, just kind of learn those basic skills, you really will improve. But that presentation, those communication skills, those can be a hang up if you can't get comfortable with those. So definitely something to practice. If you are still in school, if there's opportunities to take those classes, obviously there's a lot of things outside, professional programs you could join as well. I think Toastmasters is one. There's a lot of them where you can gain those skills, work on those skills. So awesome. Victor, thank you for the question. We appreciate it. Any other questions we could cover before I jump in and walk through the company overview here for those who haven't seen it yet. Awesome. Oh, I think something popped up and my Teams is blocking here. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sam, for joining us. And folks, again, reach out to me directly. Obviously, if you want to send your resume or have just kind of find out more about getting your foot in the door and opportunities you have, that's my role, and I'm happy to help. So LinkedIn, my email is in the chat. Please feel free to reach directly out to me. I'm happy to make those connections, whether that works out now or for the future. You never know, so always good to make those. All right, so just want to give a high level overview of the company here for folks that might not be as familiar with Simulations Plus. If you hadn't heard, I started last May, so still a lot for me to learn, and getting enough to be dangerous here and learning a little bit about this very interesting software and technology that's making a real positive impact that Scott has been working his whole career on. And I'll let him talk more on the technical side here as we dive in. But we were founded in 1996, so 26 going on 27 years if my math is good on that. We have over 150 employees. We are based out of Lancaster, California, which is a little bit outside of LA. We have our simulations group there and our corporate office there as well. And then we have our DILIsym office, our main office for DILIsym out of North Carolina for our DILIsym group there. And then we have our Cognigen group out of Buffalo, and we have our Lixoft team out of Paris. So those are our 4 brick and mortar locations. However, now we are offering fully remote work. We do have folks in Canada and Europe, and then we also have we got one gentleman in India, and then most of our folks are in the U.S. But we have been able to expand and with remote work, be able to hire folks all over the globe, which has been nice. So kind of have that flexibility. If you're near one of our offices, you can work on a hybrid schedule if you prefer, or you have that ability to work fully remote from basically anywhere in the world, just about, but certainly in the US, Canada, and Europe would likely work out for that. Great growth for the company, which, obviously you got to make money, you're not going to be in business, so the company has done a great job at that. And I think from just my very early understanding of the company, it seems like they've done a very smart job in methodically growing, not getting in front of their skis, but really just doing a smart job growing the company steadily over that 26 plus years and continue to be financially strong, which is a really good place to be, especially as unfortunately, every day on LinkedIn, they have to tell us all the new companies that are laying off, which is unfortunate, but we seem to be in that cycle again. So good to be in a spot where we're very strong in the ups and downs of the economy. We have over 250 clients, very solid retention, as you can see there. We have lots of super smart PhDs and master's folks working for our company, scientists working for us, a lot of amazing people and backgrounds, and they have over 1,000 publications that they have done as well as far as that effort for the company and their backgrounds. So amazing group of folks here. We are a leading provider of modeling and simulation software and services, as I'm sure all of you are likely aware if you're here at this conference. What we can offer is just an amazing variety of different softwares and systems that can help improve the drug development process. So it can help from streamlining, increasing, speeding up the process, making it safer, just a variety of different ways that we can inform and improve through our softwares to make that a better process all around. So we have those 250 clients are mainly a variety of academia and industrial pharmaceutical clients that we help support through our software through drug development. And I'll let Scott talk more on the technical side here in a minute to dive in more on kind of how that all plays together. In our software and services, so I mentioned Lixoft, DILIsym, Cognigen, and simulations, just a variety of different softwares and services that we can provide our clients to help them in that drug development. So, Scott, I know we didn't rehearse this, but I know you're good on the fly. Would you be comfortable? This obviously kind of walks through our company as a whole and how we work in the different phases of the drug development process. Would you be comfortable walking through this one for us?
Sure, yeah. So the main message is visually, I think, pretty clear that our modeling capabilities span the entirety of the clinical development process. And depending on where you are in that development, some software, some services may be more applicable than others, but I think we're pretty unique in being able to provide offerings throughout that pipeline. So kind of left to right, the earliest when you're trying to understand a molecule and or a target, there are some tools that are useful for that, to the preclinical animal studies, to entering humans and clinical trials, first in human, and then expanding into the disease population, ultimately interacting with regulators to gain approval, and hopefully, and then post-approval, as you roll it out to the market. And so that's kind of in that general process. Something like an ADMET predictor, which helps understand and kind of design and or select the appropriate compound properties. So you can very quickly make some, you input hey, this is a molecular structure that we're considering, and using ADMET predictor, we can identify some critical attributes on the exposure side. So really kind of begin to predict, if you will, PK based on compound structure at its earliest, kind of most nascent point in the pipeline. Again, we have multiple tools that can support animal experimentation, be it on the exposure or the QSP, QST side. And then same thing, once we enter into that human realm, really our pharmacometrics applications become quite applicable, right? Sort of reviewing, this is sort of the retrospective application of modeling to understand the results. And then, potentially you can come at it from the other direction at QSP, QST, where you're kind of assembling the pieces of the puzzle ahead of time, mechanistically modeling the disease, and then predicting how a compound might actually generate specific efficacy and or toxicity. So again, both those capabilities are in-house. Finally, I think what's really, and not just individuals, right? I said scientists and science. We have the software to support it if an external organization has the capabilities, the interest. We also have the internal experts to utilize that software and practice the art. Finally, a really interesting and kind of increasing application is we have what we call regulatory support. So a handful of individuals, this is still a relatively small team, but growing, folks who have worked previously with regulatory agencies like the FDA and can really help others, biotech, pharma, et cetera, navigate the process and understand how to use modeling and simulation to expedite and get through kind of the regulatory hurdles. The FDA in particular, other regulatory agencies as well, been embracing modeling ever increasingly. And so there are a number of situations where you can use simulation results in lieu of an actual clinical study and or to really streamline that study and dramatically reduce expenses. And the FDA would sign off on that. So again, having that expertise in-house really helps a great deal as well.
Appreciate it, Scott. And was it $2 billion in 10 years is the average to get a drug to the finish line? Does that sound right, or somewhere around there? Ballpark?
Well, that may be the direct cost. If you factor in the attrition component, I think it's dramatically greater. You know, the number of compounds that attempt to get to the finish line and fail, it's, you know, far outweighs the ones that succeed. So the ones that succeed have to kind of buoy all the failures as well on the financial side. We're hoping, we're, you know, trying to apply our modeling and simulation to increase that efficiency, right? Instead of 1 in 100, you're going to get, you know, 1 in 10 chance, or something to that effect by applying modeling ahead of time.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you were here to run through that. I still obviously have a lot to learn to be able to walk through that in the intelligent way you did. I appreciate it. I don't know if this is possible or not, because I know there's a lot of confidentiality in our business, but is there an example maybe that would no longer be confidential that you could share where our software, you know, made a real positive impact? Is there something that we could share, or is it all, we can't really, you know, talk about it because a lot of it's confidential?
There are some examples, sure. Let me think.
Sorry to put you on the spot there.
It's fine. I mean, there are a multitude of examples. I'll lead off with this. So we actually presented this as a poster at a conference maybe 2 years ago. Work that we did with Gilead to evaluate a specific treatment that was originally applied, intended for one disease, but ultimately became the very first treatment that was approved, conditionally, but approved for treating COVID-19. And, you know, in that case, there had been some, shall we say, a hint, a suggestion of drug-induced liver injury that accompanied the administration of that drug in very specific scenarios. And so we applied DILIsym, drug-induced liver injury simulation, to really evaluate the context of, you know, those liver signals, if you will, to understand if it was something that would be seen as it was rolled out more broadly to the population, and, you know, even if it was kind of truly injurious, or if it was just kind of a transient phenomenon that really didn't affect a person's health. So in the end, we really helped them. They attributed our efforts to really allowing, you know, gaining a greater acceptance by FDA. It wasn't full approval at that point, but it allowed them to really proceed the development, ultimately making that treatment available, as I said, the first, for a long while, the only treatment for patients with COVID-19. That was, you know, at a time when I think collectively the world was down in the dumps, there was a little bright spot there.
That's cool. Awesome. And it feels good to, you know, be some part of, you know, be a part of that. Certainly makes it easier to turn your computer on and get out of bed in the morning knowing that that's some of the impact you can be making in the world. I'm sure that feels good.
I'll take that a step further, which is, you know, we sit here in front of a computer screen. You know, my wife is a nurse. She actually helps patients. She literally helps and saves lives. Me, I'm just punching keys. With the intent, you know, my wife's goal, my goal are the same. We're trying to help patients. You know, I feel so distal to it at times that when you actually find that you have impact, and it has happened, I've had a few examples now. It's really amazing. You know, fills you with pride. And, you know, it's not just that, you know, it happens. I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. It's a natural consequence of doing the job effectively and long enough.
Yeah, it certainly feels a lot better going to work knowing you're making a positive impact on the world versus the opposite. So absolutely. And props to your wife to being on the front line there. The last 2 years could not have been, or 3 now, could not have been easy for you all. So props to her for being on the front lines. Yeah. Okay. Scott, appreciate it. Awesome. So let's see. So just had a couple new names jump on here. So just wanted to let you know this is pretty informal. We're just kind of walking through a high-level company overview. You're welcome to throw any questions into the chat, or jump onto your mic or camera, or both, if you'd like to ask anything here of Scott or myself. And it looks like Becky is jumping on here as well. But we're here just to try to tell you a little bit about the company. If you're interested in a career with us, or want to learn more about opportunities, we're happy to talk about that as well. Answer any questions you have on that. So appreciate it. Appreciate anyone who's joined on. And you're welcome to reach out to me directly. I'm the in-house recruiter for Simulations Plus. So hit me up on LinkedIn. My email is in the chat. Please feel free to reach out to me directly if you want to find out more and get connected. That's what I'm here for, and I'm happy to help with that. So I won't dive into this too deep since Scott already gave the nice overview of what we do and everything, but I'll talk about it more from a recruitment standpoint. PBBK, again, this is the simulations group that's based out of Lancaster outside of LA, although we have folks located all over the globe. We are looking for a junior modeler right now for PBPK. So we are currently actively recruiting for that. And it sounds like whether it's for us or our clients, we're going to continue looking to build a pipeline there. So if you or anyone you know is interested in PBPK, I would love to connect and talk about what that could look like for you. QSP, anything you'd like to expand on from the QSP, QST world, Scott? Or I think you covered it, but if you'd like to add anything, please feel free.
Yeah, I mean, at the risk of repeating myself, you know,
Sure.
what we're trying to do here is, I'll return to that analogy I used just a moment ago, is we mechanistically represent with mathematics specific biochemical processes, specific diseases or pathophysiologic processes that, you know, again, it's like taking the jigsaw puzzle, opening up the box and putting all those pieces together until at the end you have a mathematical model of the disease. It's at that point that you can run those prospective simulations, truly make predictions about whether a drug will be helpful, how helpful, what the optimum time to give the dose of the drug is, or will it have injurious liabilities? Will it have, you know, cause adverse events, have side effects? So in other words, prospectively predicting whether a drug is safe and effective. That's really what we're trying to do, what we are doing with QSP and QST model.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. And we had Jill on earlier with us out of our Cognigen group in Buffalo. And this is a group where we just continue to grow, and the labor market's also very tight for pharmacometrics. There's a lot more jobs than there are folks to do those roles right now. So if you or yourself is interested at all in pharmacometrics, we also have a group of programmers within that Cognigen, that pharmacometrics division as well. I'm happy to chat with you about their opportunities. And we do have those posted on our website and on LinkedIn as well, our pharmacometrics openings. Again, happy to always talk to folks about those opportunities that we have. And so any questions at all for Scott or I, or anything that we haven't covered so far that I can answer for folks? Feel free to throw it in the chat, or if you're comfortable, feel free to jump off your mute, and we're happy to take any questions. All right, well, if you think of anything, please feel free to throw it in the chat. Hopefully that means we've done a good job covering things here today. So the question I know we did get, at the beginning, or intros at the very beginning of this today, was just, you know, folks that maybe have been recently laid off, unfortunately, or maybe looking to make a move from academia, or just looking for opportunities with us, and I'm always happy to chat with folks about those. So have my LinkedIn link to that and my email, and then we have our careers page here as well. So we have our postings out here on the Career Center, and then the openings out there. You're welcome to apply directly to those if you're interested. Pretty proud of this here. We did win Best Company for Women, and we have an A+ culture score from comparably.com. That was a relatively new site to me. I think it's a newer one, but it's similar to Glassdoor, where your employees can rate you and give you feedback. And we had, I think, almost 60 of our employees that went out there and took the survey, and we won this award and got the A+ culture score directly from employees' feedback. So proud to be joining an organization that is already that strong from a culture standpoint and has that many happy people working here. Hope we continue to grow and expand that. We think part of that is we do offer, again, the fully remote work that I mentioned, flexible work schedules and time off, and really try to respect people's personal life as much as the efforts and the hard work that they put in with Simulations Plus, and truly trying to balance those things. I heard a lot over my HR career about work-life balance, and every company talks about it, but this is the first time I feel sincerely that the company I'm working for is really putting employees' needs in the forefront and making sure that they're happy and taken care of. And I'm just proud to be a small part of that and be able to offer that to folks. So if that's what you're looking for, I think you'd really enjoy being part of Simulations. So any other thoughts or questions? Otherwise, I think I saw Becky jump on, our Becky, not Becky Romero, if that's what you go by. Our Becky Graves was on but jumped off, so I wonder if she got pulled away there. So we'll wait and see if she's able to join us. Scott, I guess anything that you would add? You seem to be a strong advocate for our culture and for that work-life balance. From your perspective, having been here much longer than I have, talk a little bit about what that transition has looked like, and just kind of your personal feel, being, having a better, more time with the company, having a better background, what that's looked like.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that come immediately to mind. Oftentimes the folks who just beginning a career, joining an organization like ours, it also kind of, coincides with starting a family, depending on preceding or you already have, et cetera. And I think one of the things that I really appreciate across the board is our ability to kind of support that. I hesitate because it's more than that, really. It's part of the culture, frankly. So if someone has to go pick up a second grader because they're sick at school, it's understood. We always appreciate that everybody has to balance all those things. And when you have a number of people who are kind of similar positions in life, you really have not only sympathy but empathy, and or if you've experienced it before yourself, right? So all of those things really kind of nicely come together. It isn't assumed that you will be working all weekend, every weekend. There will be times when the workload is a little higher, maybe you have to spend a little time, but most of the time, your time is yours when you're not working. And the amount of time you have to work is on the reasonable side. And so those are, I think, really important things to acknowledge. Myself, I have 2 daughters who are, goodness sakes, young adults. I actually call them, I don't think they can hear, not quite adults, not quite children. I'm not sure which are, to be honest. But that, without having an environment such as this, they wouldn't be as capable. I wouldn't have been able to be an active participant in their life to the extent that I was. And so, now I have a little more trust that as they're leaning more towards the adult part than the children's part.
Absolutely. And I can expand on that from personal experience for, someone who is spending 60 plus hours a week in an office, and it's been life-changing for me from a personal standpoint, to have the freedom and flexibility to get some of that personal time back, and just from a mental health standpoint of not being burnt out. I mean, I think burnout is real, and I think spending, in Wisconsin, sun up till sundown inside an office and you never see the sun, is not good for the old mental health. So I've loved working from home. I love the flexibility, and just, again, the fact that, my boss, the head of HR, our leadership team, the folks here on the call, truly care about employees and their health and want them. And I sometimes simplify it as, if your employees are happy, your customers are going to be happy, and you're probably going to have a thriving business. And sometimes it's as simple as that. And if your employees aren't happy, it's going to go completely the other way. And I've seen that firsthand, as I'm guessing some of you have as well. But really excited to be a part of it. I want to, Scott, I know you've hit your time that I asked for. You're welcome to stay on for the next 15 minutes, but if you got to run, I know it's a busy day, so either way I understand. But I want to have Becky do a quick intro. Becky, if you don't mind, just telling the folks on the call a little bit about who you are and your background here at Simulations.
Hi, thanks, Brian. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, you're good.
Great. I was having some problems with my audio before, so that's why I was in and out a bit. But hey, everyone, I am Becky Graves. I am a director in Simulation Studies Group here in Simulations Plus, and I am a week away from my 2nd anniversary with the company. So we take care of the contract modeling studies in the PBPK kind of arena for clients, as well as help to develop new applications for GastroPlus mainly, and do some internal model building as well.
Becky, appreciate you coming on, and yeah, we just kind of ran through a little bit of a company overview here, and kind of had some folks here, a variety of backgrounds, folks kind of looking for a foot in the door here. I guess from your standpoint, can you just talk a little bit about maybe how folks how they can get their foot in the door, and kind of what you're looking for in candidates. So sort of just kind of curious if you would have any advice for folks that are maybe knocking on the door of Simulations Plus and saying, man, I'd love to be a part of that. If you've got any advice for them on things they can do, approaches from your experience, just anything from that standpoint.
So I guess we have many people with different backgrounds in our group, but the one thing they share is a love of science, I guess, and a desire to understand the mechanisms involved in drug disposition. So I guess one of the pieces of advice is don't be put off if you think you have the wrong background, because you probably haven't. We have mathematical engineers, we have DMPK, so drug metabolism and pharmacokinetics specialists, we have formulation specialists, and so we have some PharmDs as well. So really, if you have a love of science and you have a love of drug discovery, you may well find a really happy home here, because the other bits we can kind of teach you, So don't be afraid to reach out and try. And I guess the other piece of advice is, there's lots of, if you're looking at GastroPlus or AdMet Predictor specifically, there's actually quite a lot on YouTube of training sessions that we've given. So that's always a good repository for starting to get a feel for the software, if maybe PBPK is of interest to you, but you haven't had much hands-on experience.
Thanks, Becky. Appreciate it. And Josh did share earlier, I think you can go back in the chat to a link to our workshops, or just go to simulations-plus.com/workshops. That's the place, Becky, where they go for the trainings you mentioned. Would that be the right spot?
So I think they're the workshops, but I think on our website, which is the simulations-plus.com, it's actually really hard to say.
Not the only one.
There's a resources section, which will direct you to some of the basic introductions to some of our pieces of software that we've pre-recorded. So that, together with the workshops that Josh shared, would be a really great grounding.
Awesome. Thanks, Becky. So we're getting to our final 10 minutes here. Really have appreciated everyone who's wanted to learn a little more about Simulations Plus, and certainly those that are looking to get their foot in the door with us. The reality is, and this is a great thing, but makes it hard for candidates, is we don't have a lot of openings because we have very low retention. Once people are here, we don't lose a lot of folks. If we do, it's usually on good terms. So there aren't a ton of openings. There's not a lot of turnover, so that leads to not a ton of opportunities, but they are there. You know, it can happen, and I would encourage you to stay persistent. This is really where you want to be. You know, if we're not connected, let's get connected on LinkedIn. You can make sure you're seeing job opportunities and things that are coming in. And just because something doesn't happen today doesn't mean 6 months or a year from now, you know, the right thing might become available. So stay persistent. You know, we wish we had 100 openings right now and we could hire you all, but you know, we just don't have you know, a lot of that turnover that often leads to that. So it's a good thing for us, but harder for you guys to get your foot in the door. So please stay persistent there. So feedback. A little bit of feedback there. It's all right. Okay. Awesome. So any other questions for Scott or questions for Becky, who's jumped on? You know, they are, you know, from a technical, from a software standpoint, certainly we're better to answer any technical thoughts or questions you might have. Otherwise, just general questions for us at all.
I have a question for Becky.
Perfect.
Hey, Becky, where are you located? Are you in Lancaster, California?
I certainly am not. No, I am in the UK, about an hour north of London. So, so yeah, most of the people I work, well, that's not true. Some of the people I work with are in Lancaster, and so the time difference of 8 hours makes for some interesting scheduling. But I have to say that I was a bit worried about that before I joined, because I was used to working kind of 8 till 6 UK time, and I've got 2 young children. But I shouldn't have worried, because flexibility is definitely king in Simulations Plus, and people are pretty understanding of different schedules. And actually what it's meant is I can pick up my kids from school from the end of school without having to put them into after school club. So I get to interact with the other mums and dads in the playground a lot more than I did with my previous job. So so yeah, the time difference can work to our advantage, certainly.
Nice.
And Becky's an example of the point, Brian, you were making earlier, right? You can be pretty much anywhere in the world. It's not actually anywhere in the world. There are certain IT restrictions for certain geographical locations.
Right. All right.
But you can almost be anywhere in the world and work together.
Right, exactly.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's nice to hear, Becky, that's working for you, and that's certainly the give and take that, you know, I'm talking to candidates to say, you know, as long as your work's getting done in a timely and quality fashion, you're going to get a lot of flexibility, you know, whether that's 6 in the morning or 9 at night or in between when works for you, as long as that work's getting done and you're meeting your requirements for the day. That's what's important, and I appreciate that approach, because that's always been what I think is the important thing, is your work getting done in a timely and quality fashion. If it is, you know, that's what should matter the most, and it's really nice to have that flexibility. Oh, Arlene popped in and out, so I didn't get a chance to put her on the spot. But Scott, any other questions you have, or anybody else? I see a couple of names jumped on.
Yes, I do have another question.
Scott, you're the man. Go ahead.
Where in the world are you?
Myself, you can't tell by my lovely painting that my wife made here behind me. So if you can't see it, that's Wisconsin. So I am also fully remote. Born and raised a cheesehead here from the north woods of Wisconsin. For any international folks who maybe aren't familiar, I'm basically in the middle of the United States, just a neighbor to the south of Canada. So a few hours from the Canadian border, and moved from the Northwoods down to Madison about 15 years ago after my undergrad for my job, and have loved it ever since. So Madison is the capital and an awesome town. So And that's when candidates, I know you see a lot of the return to office stuff. I know Walmart, I just saw, apparently is doing that now, return to office. They even have, RTO, even have an initial for it. We've kind of gone the other way as a company, and I guess some of these companies that have, billions of dollars in office space and 30-year leases, they probably don't know what else to do with it. But it's nice that we have that, don't have all that brick and mortar where we have to be forcing people back into the office. And our feedback from employees, as COVID obviously spurred it on further, was they liked the flexibility and freedom that we were talking about to work their day in between personal and work and make it work for them based on their personal situation. And the company's made the decision that that's a permanent benefit, permanent as anything can be going forward. And so I've told candidates, if that does change, I'll be one of those without a job because there's not an office within striking distance of Wisconsin. So that's definitely the plan going forward. We like to give folks that flexibility. And obviously from a recruitment standpoint, it makes our candidate pool a lot bigger when we're not just looking for one city, but we can look across the US and beyond. So smart from a recruitment standpoint as well.
But I think it also helps our clients though, because with me being in the UK time zone, I've got a different reach of clients compared to my boss, Grace, who's in Lancaster. So previously she was doing client meetings, at breakfast time or previous to that. Whereas now I can take those. So it works for the individual, but it works for the company in terms of both recruitment and also being accessible for clients. So win-win.
There's another way in which it works as well, which is the nature of our work. Again, 90% of it is in front of a computer, and you don't necessarily have to be side by side. We know now very well how to communicate via these electronic means, right? So when we get together, we can do it this way. We're pounding on the keyboard. We can do it wherever. We don't all have to be in the same building, and have established a really successful workflow that enhances and facilitates productivity. So it's across the board. It works out quite well. Maybe once in a while you hear a dog bark or something, but it's all the good of it.
I like seeing the dogs and the babies. I don't mind that at all.
My go-to statement is, as long as it's not my baby crying, not my dog barking, it makes me smile. It makes me anxious, but it's my own. If it's someone else's, it lowers my blood pressure.
That is fair. That is fair. And I should mention, we do have a standing virtual booth for anyone on the call, where we have again our careers page. We have an overview document out there about our current openings and those different opportunities, and I have a total rewards kind of overview as well, just about all the great things that the company offers to employees, perks and bennies that are out there. There's a link out there to our Comparably site, which I mentioned earlier, with the awards we've won there this year. You can take a look at those. Our Glassdoor ratings, very proud of all that stuff, and that's all feedback coming directly from employees. And so proud that that's how our employee base feels about the company. It's all very positive and nice to see. So feel free to check out that booth at any time. That'll be out there, I think, for the full 2 days here. The conference is just standing out there. And then again, anyone who wants to reach out, talk about opportunities, make the connection, hit me up on LinkedIn, shoot me an email anytime. I'm always happy to have a chat and get you started in the right direction here, make those connections. So any other questions? Our last minute here, any questions for Scott or Becky or myself? Anything else that we could cover for you? Thanks, Hannah, for jumping on. Hope we can find you a foot in the door here. I know you're very interested, and I'd love to find that for you. Thanks, everybody, for taking the time. Scott, Becky, any final words of wisdom for the group here before we call it a day?
Not wisdom, but thank you. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely. Becky, thanks for jumping on late in the day there, as I'm sure you're used to, and I appreciate your perspective about the client time zones and how that's helpful for that. That's not a perspective I'd really thought of from my seat, so that's a useful perspective for me. I appreciate hearing that. So Scott and Becky, thanks so much. Everyone, thanks so much. Feel free to reach out to me anytime, and please hit up our other all the other activities going on out there at the conference. Please go do more. Check that out tomorrow at the same time. To be a part of, encourage you to register and check that out. And appreciate everyone's time. Have a great rest of your day.